What's up? So, we're going to imagine that your name is Brad. Or, whatever name you want to think of. But for right now, your name is going to be Brad. And I'm making some food. So, I'm going to talk and pop in and out of view. But, anyways, so we're going to imagine that your name is Brad. And in this hypothetical scenario, let's say that at 15, 16, you decided to mess with some clay and you made these little characters out of clay. And then one of your friends wanted one. And so you said, oh, sure. And then you make one for him and he gives you $1. And you're like, I didn't. Well, thanks. And so he gives you $1 and you go, thanks. And then he tells a friend, and the other friend goes, oh man, can you make me one? He goes, you say, sure, let me make you one. So you make a little figurine, and he gives you $1. You're like, oh wow, thanks. And then next thing you know, another kid, says, I got $1, can you make me one? Sure. So you start making them for your friends, and next thing you know, other classmates and different peers, the neighborhood finds out you got some kind of special little character that you've made up, right? Okay. And so, you experiment with some more and you make other types of figurines and stuff and little trinkets and things, right? And so, and everybody's like paying you a little bit of money to like make them, and you take some of that money and you use it to invest into more materials to build more of the little figurines and the things and the widgets and the whatnots, right? And then a year has passed, and now it's kind of like a normal thing. And at some point, like someone's mom requested, hey, can you make me some of these for my son and my nephew? I want to give them to them something unique for Christmas. And then, so then you just keep doing it, and you become known for it. And it's just something that you do, right? It's just something that you're known for. And so eventually, by the time you turn 18, you got a part-time job, you got, things going on, you're doing school, but people are always wanting your little figurines that you make and these things, and there's this demand, and then so you make them, and then next thing you know, you're just kind of like, man, people want these like more frequently than you imagined. So you just keep making them, okay, and so people come along and and you're that guy that makes those things, right? And so before you know it, you got tons of people are starting to far and wide. Now the chances of this happening are slim. There are unique circumstances and unique one-off situations where this kind of thing actually does happen to some people, and they and then so, but for educational purposes, we're just gonna like keep talking about it, as if you're this is one of it won't take away from the main point, is what I'm saying. So I mean, technically it can be applied to nearly anything, but we're just using this hypothetical scenario as a main point to educate you on reality and the message that I'm attempting to give to you, to teach. And so you're making them, and now it's become like a regular, like a part-time hobby-ish type of thing, and you use it to make extra money, right? But next thing you know, people want more. And then so finally, if you get to the point where like you're just doing this part-time, like I said, to make extra money, and people are buying them, but so you go to school and all, and then you're looking for a job and you're applying at places. Maybe you work one, maybe you go flip some burgers or something, and you're in school and college and all this stuff, and but on the side you've been making money on this little thing that you've done, right? And so the more you work, you realize that like you're not satisfied with flipping the burgers at the place, and you think to yourself, man, none of these places I'm working at, they're really not really satisfying. It interferes with my school time. It's like it would be so easy if I were just selling more of my little figurines and widgets. If I just sold a few more of these, and then that I could have the flexibility to do the other things. And so you come up with this idea, you know, you're going to start investing more time into it. So and then so what you do is you create some social media for it. You probably already have it by then. You create some social media for it, and you put a little website together, and so you decide like to start advertising. Like you pay money for an ad on Facebook. People see it. People that you've already known are giving you reviews. You call them up, say, hey, can you give me a review on my website, because I decided to start selling my figurines, you know. And so you start doing that. People are responding, and you're selling them the figurines. And so all of a sudden, like, these orders come in, and then next thing you know, you bring in so much revenue from sales off of these little things that you ask one of your friends, hey, do you mind, look, I'll pay you to help me like box these up. So next thing you know, a few hours a week, your friend is helping you box them up. People are sending in the orders, you're boxing them up. Next thing you know, like, more orders coming in, you put some more ads out, more orders are coming in, and then so you're just like, you keep on doing it, and then so next thing you know, you're like asking your friend, hey, do you got a little bit more time? And then next thing you know, your friend is helping you 25 hours a week part-time and you're paying him, and you're bringing in enough revenue to pay him a wage for a part-time job, basically. So now he's like working for you, and then so eventually even more orders come in. You up your game, right? You up your game, and you start to sell more of them. So eventually you're like, dang, we're getting so many orders. Like, and so one weekend, like, you ask a couple more friends, hey, we got like a lot of orders. Y'all mind helping us get these shipped out this weekend? And your buddy Todd, I don't want to use the name Todd. Your buddy Steve goes, hey man, like, I done forgot my point because I didn't want to use the name Todd, but so Steve goes, man, you know what? You know, like, these things are getting pretty big. Like, everybody's wanting these things now. And then you go, yeah, and he was like, I forgot my point, but it won't take away from the main point. So eventually you got so many orders coming in, they help you that weekend, and then you keep doing this, right? And it's helping you earn money and stuff. And so eventually, like, you get tons of orders, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, as you're doing this, you begin to study like things like retail and retail stores and stuff like that, and you're realizing that hey, you know, it's common and normal for people to have a product and have it in a retail store, and you learn that through time. That's just a normal thing. A lot of the products you see are just companies that have their product. They're a business, and they just have their product in a retail store, right? That's simple as that. It's very simple. So anyway, so you say to yourself, you know, I could put these in the retail store. So you got that in the back of your mind. But so anyways, you start getting even more orders, and it's getting bigger. The more money you're using to advertise, the more people are seeing it, and the more people are ordering it, right? So eventually you say, you know what, I need more space. You've driven by this small little warehouse section of town, and you've seen this small building or section or in a plaza or something, and it says for lease, commercial for lease. So you ask them, and they say, yeah, we rent it for $2,000 a month. So you give them a deposit, and you go work there. And let's say that you got a name for Brad's Trinkets, Brad's Figurines and Trinkets. And so you call up a logo company, you get them to make a logo and you call it Brad's Trinkets. And so you put it up on that building that you just rented. And so, and you go to your city, you get a retail license to sell it, and then that way you keep track of taxes, because now you're selling the stuff, and now, you know, quarterly you're going to have to report. You're making so much, you got to report how much you're selling and pay some taxes on this quarterly, right? So you got to keep records of it. So you get that, and then you go down to your state or on their website, and for $120 you get your limited liability corporation. So now you got a sign with a logo on the building, a retail license, and you have a legal liability corporation, LLC. So that means when somebody drives by Brad's Figurines and Trinkets and they see that logo, they say to themselves, oh, look at that corporation. It's a corporation. So when you're on the internet and you see people talking about the corporations, or when you're in conversation with people and they're like, the corporations, like in their heads, they're imagining these things that just kind of exist in their reality called corporations, placed there by ambiguous powers, ambiguous entities. But when you realize that how I've described the process of what happened here, it puts it into perspective what a corporation actually is. It's just somebody that started selling something. That's it. So stupid simple. So then Brad, next thing you know, he makes more than $25,000 a year, and so instead of filing an LLC now, he restructures the way he does taxes in his now business, which it's always been a business ever since the very first time he made one and someone paid him $1. He was in business. That's what business is. And so then he restructures his tax to be an S corp. So he's an S corporation. Either way, he's a corporation. Okay. A corporation. The corporations. When you say the corporations, what imagery and what connotations, what imagery and associations come up when someone says the corporations? They'll immediately think of things like McDonald's, Walmart, BlackRock, Citibank, Bank of America, JCPenney, Target. The corporations, those are the corporations, and then you got the businesses. Then you got the mom and pops, as if they're all like different when they're not. They're all corporations, right? As soon as you get an LLC, you are the corporation, right? Limited liability corporation. Everything is just a business. Like Target, some man said, hey, I'm going to order some stuff from other countries or facilities in the United States, and I'm just going to put a red circle and a dot and a Target, and I'm going to call it Target, and I'm going to sell my stuff out of my store. People are going to buy it, and I'm going to order some more and then keep selling it. And so what makes people, it's all about imagery. Like once a business has enough money to have a more polished look and have a more polished professional logo, and has the money to have everybody wear the same shirt with the same logo and a name tag, it gives the illusion that they just kind of exist on some ethereal plane at some point, and then they were planted here by some ambiguous ethereal authority, magical authority figure that came down and placed them here as eternal fixtures. Target, McDonald's, they're the corporations, the fixtures. So when you see like a mom and pop restaurant that's not name brand or corporate, when you see them, you don't think of them as a corporation because they don't appear to have all those same polished shirts and image, and the imagery is that of a mom and pop. They don't have another location, they just have that one location, but they are registered probably as an LLC or an S corp entity, right? to do their taxes. That's all that means. A corporation is just your tax structure, how you pay the government taxes. That's all that means, right? But it's in our heads. It's in our it's in our the way we think. We just think as these places, as we mentally divide them up and think that they're different things, and that's deception. That's deceiving you, making you not see reality for what it actually is. Reality is, any business is just some man's business. So Brad's Figurines, he started, his first business deal was when his friend handed him the dollar and he gave it to him. He was in business. At that moment, he had a business. And then the next friend came and gave him a dollar and he gave him. At that moment, he was in business, all the way up until the point where he had rented the warehouse. And and it's crazy. So Brad owns a corporation, right? So he's the corporation. Then maybe he expands and starts getting his product into retail stores, and people order it directly from his warehouse, right? And it's all just a business, right? And so people will come and work for him. Somebody's going to ride by there and go, "Oh, look at there's a company." That's the way in their mind they'll say, "Oh, it's a company." And then they'll pull up and they'll be like, "Oh, can I apply to work here? Please, can I apply? Look at me, I'm a saint. Oh, can I apply? I'll do a good job, I promise. Please hire me." Because in the way they've trained us mentally is that's not some guy that started a business. Brad's Trinkets Incorporated, that's a corporation. That's not some dude that just started a business. That's a fixture that came down here by some magical ethereal entity and placed Brad's Trinkets here, and everybody knows that. It just exists in our reality. And so you must go serve the corporations. So Brad or what his managers gives that person a W-2, accepts the application. You can start Monday. And "Oh, thank you. Oh, I got a job." Facebook post, "I finally got a job. Yeah, good job. You got a job. One of the authorities in the society allowed you to come be part of their eternal presence, and you are now part of that fixture in the reality, and you wear the logo and the name, and so good job. Now you're a moral and ethical person, and you filled out your W-2 so that they can take your taxes out. So now get this, Brad is ahead of the game than some other people. Other people in life don't have the time, the resources, or the ability to be able. Now, everybody technically can, but what I'm saying is due to how we're miseducated on how reality works, people aren't going to think to do what Brad did. Brad did it organically without thinking. He just made his trinkets and then he kept growing it. But the other people are told, "Oh, only certain types can start businesses, and most businesses fail, and they're gonna get you on them taxes once you start a business," and all these like fear-mongering type of phrases. But it's okay. So something like John or Steve or Earl decides, "I want to start my own business," and everybody's like, and they're like, "Oh no, only certain types." And Earl's like, well, look at Brad. He started his own business. No. You can't do that. Only certain types can do that, Earl. Why don't you go ask Brad if you can apply and work at his company, right? Everybody else is taught not to pursue their own business or become self-employed because, it's this great undertaking. That only the authorities are allowed to bestow upon one the privilege and the honor and the ability to start a company, to have a company. So then the employee of Brad's comes into work, and he's been working there for 3 months, and in the past he's kind of had some bad luck at other jobs or something went wrong, and so he just recently got on his feet. He's trying to work hard to get to work, move ahead in life, in his mind. He's working at a good company. Bradley's Trinkets offers 401k and benefits. So imagine you're Brad and somebody comes in and they say, "Are you hiring?" And you say, "Sure," and you give them an application, and then you offer 401k and benefits. You are the one offering the 401k and benefits. It's no different than working at Target, right? And so then, but you overhear your employee talking, or he tells you, he goes, "Yeah, I got an unstable work history. Like, I don't have enough W-2s to show where I've been working, that I haven't kept a job, and so I can't rent this apartment. I got to have 3 times the amount of rent to be able to rent this. My income has to be 3 times above the amount of rent in order for me to rent an apartment, and so I can't rent an apartment because I don't have a stable work history." So imagine you have started your business. You're living free on your terms. You're Brad or Candy or Beatrice or whatever name you want to put to it. And a person, you are just a person that decided to sell some things, right, to make a living. And you have this person that's your proxy. He's filling in for you to handle work that you don't have time to do. So you're letting him handle that part. And because he hasn't worked for you and helped you live your life long enough, a landlord sees that he doesn't have a history of serving your business long enough, so he can't rent a place because you're an authority. So that landlord seen, "Oh, you currently work at Brad's Trinkets. I've heard of that place. It's a good company." But you haven't worked at the company for long enough. The authority. It's an authority. It's not some guy started selling stuff and he started his own business. It's a company that exists through some higher deity, otherworldly entity, right? Fixture in reality, right? And so just think of that. A landlord is going to look at your work history. In order for it to be valid, you have to work for one of your peers for it to be valid. Think about that. One of your peers decided to live life on his own terms, and you don't. But in order to be accepted by a landlord, you have to go be a servant to one of your peers and have a history of being their servant at their business in order for you to be considered a legitimate renter. And that's what that is. So if you have a bad work history, like me, with no consistent work history working for someone else like me, then you won't be able to rent a place. So you better open up them butt cheeks, bend over, and let them give it to you good. Move them boxes, or else you won't have a place to rent. Better do what you're told, or you won't have a place to rent. Go serve one of your peers, because that's the way reality works. And if you don't, you're a bad person. You're morally not well. You're not ethical. You're not moral. Who do you think you are to start your own business? Only certain types can do that, and only certain types start their own businesses, or you can work for somebody's business, or you can go serve one of the corporations, the authorities, right, that have been placed here. And by doing so and staying consistent at it, then you will be deemed as eligible to be a contributing, functioning member of society that has access to the resources that one needs, such as housing. And so if you stay consistent at your job, working at Brad's Trinkets and knickknacks and figurines, if you stay consistent working there for several years, then one day a landlord is going to say, "Yeah, we see that you had a good work history working for one of your peers, helping him build his dreams, so you are eligible and worthy." I mean, technically, I don't know. I don't know if this is valid, but I would think that if you you can make yourself your own employee in your business, right? Like, say that you have an S corp. When you have an S corp, you have to hire yourself as an employee. That's the way an S corp works. And you give yourself a W-2, and you're hired by you, right? And it's your company, but you have to employ yourself to work for it, right? And give yourself a salary and a wage. I'm not saying you should do this. I don't know how this works actually, but in my mind I'm thinking, well, if you're your own employee of your own company, technically you can have a manager. And so you could tell a landlord, yeah, I work for Billy's landscaping service. Like, I could tell him that. I'm Billy, like, I work for Billy's landscaping service. And that landlord in his mind, oh, that's an authority. Or let's just call it Allie's landscaping service. You could say, I work for Allie's landscaping services. And in his mind, he's going to think, oh, it's Allie's landscaping services. It's an authority. It's a authority from on high. Oh, good that you're consistent being the employee, being the servant that you are supposed to be. And you got a good work history. You've been there since when? Well, I've been working for them since day one. Because it's automatically assumed you work for somebody else, because that's the way society's structured. Is, you're not even taught. My son, he's been going through like this work thing with school where they're teaching him this. They are teaching him this. They're not teaching him the truth. They're not teaching him reality. They are literally teaching him, well, he's done with it now. And they got this thing called Work Ready program that teaches you how to get a job. And so they're teaching him, and they'll give him this hypothetical scenario. In this circumstance, would you want to apply for this job that pays this much, or would you want to apply for a job at this time and place him this much? They gave him some kind of scenario where it's this woman who has a kid that needs to be taken to daycare during the day. And so they're asking him, like, if you were this woman with a kid in the day, would you take the daytime job for $10 an hour, or would you take the night job for $14 an hour? And then the answer to the question was, you take the night job at $14 an hour. That was the answer to the question. If you were, like, hypothetically, you're a woman that has a child, that was the question. And there's two jobs available, right? The jobs that the authorities, see, they're teaching him, the authorities have your jobs for you. You go work your job. It's out of touch with reality. It's a lie. It's an actual lie. They're not teaching you reality. It's not said outwardly. It's one of these things that's not said outwardly. It's just presumed, assumed, and stated as fact, right? The way, the authorities have the job, so what they're telling him is, do you pick, they don't use these words, but they're saying, okay, you're a mother, and you got a child that needs to go to daycare during the day. So, do you pick the day job that pays $10 an hour, or do you pick the night job that pays $14 an hour? And so the answer to the question was, you pick the job. So what is the job? What is the job? A job is a business, like Brad started selling his little figurines. All a business is something some man created so he could sell something, so he can live on his own terms. That's what a business is. And a business has jobs, which is positions available to help them build on that so that they can live life on their own terms. And you are their proxy, their servant. Especially if you're poor and you don't have no other choice, then you literally, by definition of indentured servant, become their indentured servant. The only freedom you get is to pick within which indentured servitude that you want, right? And at times it's even slavery too, per definition of those words. And in the dictionary, right? You will find yourself in an actual state of indentured servitude, actual state of slavery, depending on the circumstance. So anyways, again, the answer to the question was, which job do you choose? Which job do you choose? Nothing about what kind of service or product do you want to offer to people. Nothing. Oh, what is that? Just ignore that. thought there's jobs. The authorities, the corporations, they have the jobs. Just ignore all the service or product you're going to offer. Well, don't say nothing. The authorities have the jobs. So just do what the authorities say. And pick which job you're going to apply for, right? So, and I'm supposing the reason why they say, I don't understand the logic of it. I'm supposing that they say do the night job for $14 an hour because it pays more per hour, and it's at night so that because the baby's not going to be in daycare, because the baby's in day, or you don't have to pay for daycare. So you do, like, who's going to take care of that baby? I guess you're assuming that you're not a single parent. You know, I don't know. I didn't hear the whole question. Really, I didn't see it myself. So I would probably need to put that question in context from my son. He was like, it just doesn't make sense to me because my son said during the daytime, the baby can go into daycare or somebody can watch him and you can work the day job or something, because at night, no, who's going to watch the baby is what I guess he was trying to say. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't see it myself, so I would have to take a look at it. But anyways, my main point is they were teaching him how to apply at jobs, how to have a good resume for your job working for somebody else. Nothing about, like, never was taught, like, have you ever thought of a decent product or service you would like to carry to the market? They didn't say, do you think you would ever open a restaurant? Do you ever, would you ever want to open up a restaurant? Would you ever want to, like, do you have some kind of invention, any product you've thought of that might, help people? Is there any kind of service that you're good at? Any kind of talent that you might be able to create and serve the markets? Because it's already assumed that you're going to apply to work for someone else. Work for an authority. The authorities have the jobs, so pick the best one that you are going to go serve, or else you're a bad person. Alright, so that's all I got to say. Putting it in perspective. Hope it helps. Hope it, for those that want to learn this kind of stuff, reality, actual real reality, I hope that it has shifted. Because once upon a time, I did not understand this. Only because I did not have the knowledge. Right there in front of your face, right in our faces. Our daily life is what I described. Every business you see down the street is just some man's business. It's right in front of you. You just gotta wake up to that reality. Some idiot was commenting on my video a couple months back and was saying, you're false premise, you're such a loser, and you're a failure. Called me a failure, I believe. You're such a failure, and your false premise on reality. Then what is it? If these things out here that exist, did the government put them there? Did some magical beings from on high put Target there? Did some magical beings put McDonald's there? Did the government put those there? Or did some man start a business and decided he's going to sell something, and then you're just filling in as his proxy and working for him? Are those organized by some greater power? What is it then? If I'm wrong, I know I'm right because it's the way it actually works. Those are corporations. You can go tomorrow. You can go online tonight. You can go online to your state, or even another state. You can go on, like, Minnesota's state website, and file for an LLC, and you have a corporation, and they'll mail you the paper. It's so stupid. And then you can decide what product or service you want to render. You could literally go order some notebook paper, order a box full of stacks of notebook paper, and say, all right, I have a notebook paper selling business. I'm going to start selling notebook paper. and you got little packs wrapped up in the little plastic shrink wrap stuff, and you say, "Yep, I'm Bob's paper business. I sell notebook paper," and then you start marketing your notebook paper to people. Yeah, I got different notebook. I'm a distributor, my own distribution company, notebook paper distribution. I got different brands. I buy in bulk from them and I sell them for retail. Bob's Notebook Papers Incorporated. Like, you can make anything a business. Anything. Any product or service. Almost anything. So, that's the way reality works. Stop living a lie. Peace.